think what you're trying to ask is why am I so insistent upon giving out to them that blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture. I think that's what you're asking.
Hi, it's Riah.
Hey, it's Dynamics.
And this is Angry Black People.
We're back for the third episode.
Hi, guys.
We got some secret person waving, but we won't reveal who he is yet. You can't see him waving.
Yeah, he was just cheering on as the beginning came in. What's good, people? What's up? I hope you guys had a good week and stuff. We've been busy this week. Things been going on and stuff. I think before we start to talk, we should introduce our guest, actually. Normally, we'll introduce the guest before the first segment, but I think we should introduce you now.
Yeah, and this is somebody who we've been looking forward to having a conversation with for a very long time. Because we always have these type of conversations, and now we get to share it with you. So, introducing...
Rueben!
Hi, hello. God, that was really...
It's so British.
Do you want to...
It's going to be good. No, we'll leave it. Okay. We'll leave it. You get the raw experience, like unfiltered, uncut.
Yeah, hi, hello.
Hello, Rueben.
Hi.
Yes, influenced by white supremacy.
Oh, wow, like it's going to be a tall order, like.
Oh, man. Anyways... Don't do that to his name. That's not cool.
Nah, I'm only joking. He's not. He's an advocate for black rights, 150%, and that's why we have him here today. Yeah,
definitely. We need more of those in the world, I would say.
Yes, we need more advocates and not
adversaries.
Adversaries.
Yeah,
I hear that.
Oh, look at you being smart. You're using your elevating stuff.
Yeah, well, you gotta educate yourself for the fight, innit?
This is true.
Propaganda is one of the biggest.
This is true.
What, propaganda is one of the biggest influence?
Weapons in war. Yeah. So you got to know how to counteract propaganda by educating yourself. Now, I wasn't going to say I use it because I don't use propaganda.
Do you not?
No, I don't.
No fake news, no alternative facts.
I used to use propaganda only with females back when I was young and untrained and educated. Okay. But now, you know.
Oh, what about you, Ruben? And the propaganda about here?
Yeah, so propaganda. That's an interesting concept. No, it's it is a very powerful thing. Doesn't matter who's using it for whatever, definitely. And I think knowing it when you see it is very important, yeah. I think that's a very sensible answer.
Maybe we should have classes. I think we need like some internet classes, some YouTube classes or something, like Propaganda 101.
Definitely.
Usually if it looks too good to believe or if it looks too good to be true, it generally is not true.
Or if there's an overlay on the screen, then it's propaganda.
If a white man is telling it to you, it's propaganda.
This is it. Like, this is how real it gets now. Like, it is literally just like, it's mad. Because, all right,
if he's a black guy who's always appearing on CNN, NBC, MSNBC, or Fox News, it's propaganda. Yeah, don't trust it either.
Yeah, it's a tough time to live in. Like, you've definitely got to be getting your news, like your whatever, from as many different sources as possible, for sure. Because of the last couple of years, like the amount of... Can we swear on this show?
Yeah. You can swear all you want.
The amount of bullshit like I've seen, like from Fox News and like things like that, it's actually mad, because it's like you're a trusted source. People will listen to you and accept whatever it is you have to say. And you have been saying the craziest shit for the longest time. And it's just like, this is actually real life now. Do you know what I mean? This isn't like a period in history that you study at school. Like, this is actually what's going on.
You know what? It's the truth, because if you look at it, okay, my news thingy goes like, Fox will normally fact check CNN, MNBCS or whatever.
Is it MSNBC?
MSNBC, whatever in God's world it's called. Fox will normally fact check them, and the more liberal places.
Yeah.
And then the more liberal places will fact check Fox. And then Al Jazeera will fact check RT. RT will fact check Al Jazeera.
Yeah.
Listen, you have to go all over the world looking for your news. Like, literally, you can listen. If you ever want to have the scariest experience of your life, if you ever want to have an inkling of what goes on in the typical Republican or right-wing leaning individual, turn on the Christian Broadcasting Network on YouTube.
That's a madness.
Listen. Oh my God.
Yeah.
These people are peddling the biggest lies I've ever seen in my life. Like, these people are literally telling people that, like, Donald Trump is a prophecy. What they've had prophecies with Donald Trump coming through and being the savior of people, I suppose, or of this world or whatever in God's world.
Or the savior of white supremacist values. And
that's what they
yeah.
should say. That's what it's code for.
Yeah.
But it won't say that.
Yeah.
But that's what he's doing, really. He's the great white hope.
Yeah.
Like, the last great white frontier.
And I think that's what disappointed me the most about his winning was just I watched that election like, I really hope this country isn't the country I think it is. They won't vote for him. Like, they can't. Like, fair enough, there are some people that agree with him, like, and, you know, we'll chalk that up to ignorance. But then when he actually got in, it was like, wow, you lots are actually behind this guy. Like, you're actually willing to, and let's be fair, like, the alternative wasn't great at all. But
It was terrible.
It wasn't a
terrible.
fair thing to ask people to choose from, but
literally, like,
It was set up.
yeah.
It was set up.
It was like, kind of, do you want to be fucked in your ass? Or do you want me to choke you with my dick? It was like...
it's literally like between a rock and a hard place. Like,
I think
there's
it was-
no nice alternative.
I think it was more like, do you want to get fucked in the ass? Or do you want to get fucked in the ass with nails?
There you go.
You know what I mean?
So
with
which
a
one's the
stick
nail?
with nails on it.
Which one's a stick with nails, though?
I don't know.
And that's the worst part, right? It's like, you're not going to know which one's which. Like, not
Because
at all.
if you think about it, I just don't know.
Yeah.
At least with Trump, you can see his bullshit.
Can you, though?
You can see the bullshit because he's doing it all the time.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people miss his bullshit because people don't go... You see, what happens with Trump is Trump's very surface. Like, he's not very deep. He's a very shallow person. As are his ideals. They're very shallow.
Very.
Very shallow people will identify with that because that's... So if you are a person that will read a news headline but won't read the actual article to the end, then more than likely you will like Donald Trump because he has very catchy news headline worthy things that he says. But when you get down to it, there's no substance to it. So really, is that like I don't think...
For me personally, like, I cannot believe, like, I was born May 2nd, 1986. I am 30 years of age. I'm in a sound mind when I'm about to say this. But I actually agreed with George Bush
When he said
that, and I read, we need an independent media to hold people like me to account. He had the audacity to say, to hold people like me to account, because he says power can be very addictive, it can be corrosive, and it's important for the media to call to account people who abuse their power, whether it be here or elsewhere. I'm like, seriously? Did the Lord touch you? Like, did you meet Buddha? Because, like, you're now saying that the media should hold the president to account. You've never been held to account. So the media now, Donald Trump is fighting the media, but somehow the media is still not holding Donald Trump to account like how they should be.
I've been quite impressed, however, by the fight that they're giving because they're digging through every single piece of legislation, every executive order, every bill in Congress, every phone call, all the leaks. The White House got more leaks than I don't know, like what a house when a hurricane coming would have the roof. I don't know. There's a hell of a lot of leaks in the White House.
What's that guy, John? What was his name?
John who? Which one?
The talk show host that retired.
Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
He was like saying to the media, now it's time to actually get your balls back and actually fight. Because the media is supposed to hold the president accountable. That's why whatever Donald Trump is doing, like I said, surface level, underneath, they should be doing the investigative journalism now and expose what's
But they
happening.
are doing investigative journalism. But that's the problem
I
with
hope
them
so.
doing the investigative journalism, is that Donald Trump is now actually just going at them full throttle, like your fake news. What makes that dynamic so threatening, or just bad in general? I can use small words like Donald Trump. Bad, B-A-D, bad.
And bigly.
What makes that so bigly bad?
You know what? That's coming to remix the Bad and Bougie. You heard
My
Bad and
nigga so
Bougie?
bigly and bad. My nigga so bigly and bad.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't work.
No, it's supposed to be Bad and Bigly.
Oh, whatever. Anyways. my bitch is so bigly and bad. My bitch is
So
big.
Bad and Bigly.
Oh shit, I can't. No, it just doesn't work.
Okay.
Bad and bigly. I don't know. Like, that just... Yo, shout out to all my thick tricks.
Who's Bad and Bigly, yeah?
Yeah, who's bad and bigly. Okay.
No, but back to Trump. Okay, like, honestly, who's worse? That's what we were getting to. That's the thing.
No, I feel like, you know what? I feel like with Donald Trump, yeah, what we have to realize is that there is an agenda there.
Oh, definitely.
There definitely is an agenda there. I feel like he's pandering to black people too much.
Well, yeah.
Almost like he's overcompensating for what's about to come. It's kind of like, you know, in old times when politicians would want to say they did something for the black community to pacify us and shut us up.
Yeah.
I feel like all his efforts so far have been of that type of thing, where I just want these people to shut up and take what is about. Because now you're saying, oh, you're inflating crime statistics in America. The crime rate in America is the lowest it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you out here making it seem like, I mean, there's certain places that bad, but you're out here picking on Chicago and making Chicago seem like it's the worst place ever, when there's about 11 or 12 other cities in America that have a higher crime rate than, including New Orleans, including Detroit.
Yeah.
So,
Did you say Baltimore?
Baltimore.
Yeah.
So, there are quite a few other places, but I feel like you're picking on it because it's synonymous with black people and crime. And I feel like that's your way in. I feel like that's the way that you're going to go, and you're going to try to, I don't know, martial law, or you're going to increase sentencing, or whatever it's going to. It's not, but I feel like you're going to try and put other actions in place to pacify the black community, while simultaneously continuing that prison industrial complex, continuing to just put your foot on our necks. Like,
Well, this is it. Like, I feel like we're at a point now where it's a matter of actual survival that we get wise to this shit now. Like,
100%.
it's there's no time. There's
Like-
actually no time. Like, it's mad. Like, if you're living in a country where, statistically speaking, you've got a 50-50 chance of being arrested every day.
yeah.
Like, you basically imagine going out and being like, oh, well, I might not see you later because I could get arrested and that's it.
There's-
for 20 years.
No,
Do you know what I
no,
mean?
no, that-
Living in that every day, like, that is the reality of it. Like, we really, as a people, don't have time. Like, it's not a luxury anymore.
Yes, do or die.
Yeah, and here, added on to that now is that they've given the police in America now immigration powers.
Yeah. So here's the thing: all you immigrants, I'm specifically talking to all you people with accents like me.
Yeah.
All you Caribbean people, all you African people, because I'm mainly talking to the black people out there. The immigration powers increase. Y'all can't help African Americans. Like, you just can't. You can't, because you're gonna go home, and that's the power that they have over you when you're an immigrant.
Yeah.
You cannot get involved in that play.
Yeah.
So African Americans look at Caribbean people and they look at African people, and they might have this idea in their head that they don't like them, or they
Yeah.
think they're better than them, or whatever the case is. But you have to bear in mind, one, they didn't come from the same struggles that you came. I watched a movie yesterday, and this made my heart hurt. It was called The Good Lie. And it was about these Sudanese refugees. They were in their village chilling, didn't know shit. They didn't even know what white people look like. Chilling in the village.
It's a nice luxury, isn't it?
Like,
Imagine.
and it was one of these situations where they were in like a real village. Like they had like their dad had like cows. Their dad was a chief and stuff. And like the game that they used to play as a child was learning their ancestors.
Yeah.
So they would actually be like putting
Yeah.
and learning who their grandfathers and grandfather was and stuff like that. And one day these rebels just came through and shoot everybody in the village, and these kids survived. And these kids walked from Sudan to almost to the Ethiopian border.
Wow.
When they got turned back and told that Ethiopia, the rebels are there as well, so they're not accepting refugees. Then they had to walk another 500 and something miles to a refugee camp in Kenya.
Wow.
In that space of time, it was about 6 or 7 of them that started, and 4 of them made it. So 3 of them died in that space of time. 1 of them died on the day that they got there. 1 of their brothers got taken away to be a child soldier, trying to protect the rest of them by saying he was the only one there. And stuff like that. They made it to America after being in that refugee camp and everything. They made it to America. And the program that they were with was like a faith-based thing with a Christian church or whatever the case is. And it just showed you the way that these people would operate. The first mission for them was literally they went from off the plane into the hands of the person that was supposed to find them a job. And they was off the plane and just looking for a job. Straight up. Like, no kind of introduction. Like, I guess you had like little classes about America, but the idea is literally we turn you into a worker. Fuck with your dream. One of them was like a doctor. He was a doctor basically. It was like, fuck your dreams, fuck what you're capable of, fuck everything. We just need you to go here and work in this fast food restaurant. And
you see, like, this was a very difficult pill for me to swallow. Now, like, coming back here and being in all of these places, like, you know, all right, you can, let's say you're going into town for the weekend, and you might, I don't know, you might buy a jumper, you might buy a Big Mac, you might go, I don't know, somewhere to get a bar of chocolate, whatever, and you see the people working, and you're like, hang on, I'm noticing a pattern here. Like, what's going on? Like, a lot of these staff are black. What's that about? What's going on? Why is it that at all these low-level jobs,
pure black people, it's so, and that's the thing. Like, when they come here as refugees, they shuffle you straight into that tunnel. It's no shuffling you into something that you can be productive with. It's literally like, you get what happened to one of the brothers. He was the youngest one, the most fun one. He really liked things. He was really good with auto mechanics. He went to work at a plant. Before the man could have even shown him how to put the thing together, he knew how to do it already. He was on it. The white guys that were working with him, he was making like 20 times the amount of things that they were in the same space of time. So you know what they end up doing? They end up giving him some weed to smoke and getting him hooked on it to slow him down so they could look good. So, and like the dynamics of that, it made me bawl, and it made me think. I think the reason, particularly when they come from that type of hardship, I think the reason a lot of immigrants don't necessarily see the struggle or see the plight of black Americans or black British or black indigenous to wherever you are, I think has a lot to do with the fact of the circumstances that they had to even get through to get here in the first place. It's like by the time they get here, their heads are so far down, so they're just trying they're just trying to get somewhere, attain something. So we tend to blame them a lot for maybe liking bright things and having the best of this and that. But when you come from them circumstances and all they knew, they walked with a Bible. All they knew was white Jesus, by the way. They walked with a Bible from their village. In their village, they had never seen a white person, but they had a Bible.
But that's the
Did
level
the Bible
of
have pictures.
The Bible didn't have pictures.
So how did they know?
But when they brought up on the white missionaries show them Jesus. And Jesus is a white man.
Okay, I was just running.
Because they even asked the question. They was like, why these people's skin, like, what happened to them? Like, why they don't have any skin? They were wondering, like, why don't they have any skin? And all of that. And it's like...
Jesus is black, by the way. Yahshua is black, by the way. Just saying.
But this is another...
Most of the people in the Bible are black, by the way.
This is
just putting
another
it out
part
there.
of it. Like... And it's the definition of racism. Like, this is such a difficult subject, because there's biological race, which says, okay, my skin pigmentation makes me look like this, blah, blah, blah. And then there's political race that says, because of who my grandparents were and where they came from, this is who I am, or this is what I'm expected to do with my life now. There's two different kinds there. So when it comes to things like religion, let's say, we need to get ourselves to a point where we're beginning to understand, okay, there's racism in how this stuff can be interpreted. Do you know what I mean?
You know, forget even getting to that point. The point that we need to get to is, listen, I don't care whether you are a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Muslim, a Christian, a non-denominational Christian, whatever in God's word you want to call yourself. I don't care. Your religion was stolen from you, enlightened and whitened. Buddha was a black man. Them Christians and all of them, they were black people.
100%.
And I don't mean necessarily black of African descent, although everybody came out of Africa, so they was at that point in time. But what I'm saying is that they were darker pigmented people. They had kinky curly hair. It's clearly depicted in the statues and everything along the lines of that. Jesus was a black man in that day and age. All the people around him were black.
Egyptians were black.
Israel is in Africa. Up to this day, the Middle East, the whole Middle East is in Africa. It's on the African tectonic plate. Just because they decided to call it Minor Asia or whatever does not mean
fraud.
They just adding up their lies.
But this is it. When you see it like that, you think, wow, like, I'm up against. This isn't even David and Goliath. This is Goliath and like a pebble. This is the reason
why aliens looked at Earth.
It's mad.
And said, "Fuck it, we're not coming. We're up against the reason why aliens won't come to Earth."
This is you're up against a system. In a system, and precepts upon precepts upon precepts. Like, they have attacked you in every way, from your education to your family, to your race, to your nationality, your resources. So literally, your mind is trapped.
As long as
your opportunities.
That's the mad one. When you find it, like, okay, so I was born here. I speak English fluently. I'm at a point now where I'm actually having to question the very meaning of the words that I'm using, because it's like, when you say these things, do you realize what you're actually saying?
Exactly.
I'll give you an example. When we was younger, when we wanted to play hide and go seek or anything, any, mini, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his tail. If you do not let him go, any, mini, miny, mo. The real version of that, any, mini, miny, mo, catch a nigga by his toe. If you do not let him go, any, mini, miny, mo. 100%. Whatever the case is. All the one nursery rhymes, basically every single one that we grew up saying, reciting with our hearts, they were all racist chants that these white people used to say towards us. I had their children saying, and we ended up picking it up. And the words might have changed, but the meaning behind of it and the affirmation behind of it hasn't.
And that's the problem.
For example, stocks and bonds.
We are literally like stock. Like when you're born, you're given a number, and that is your number for the performance of your life, and it can be traded, etc., etc. Like, you are a number in a production line. That's why your school is a production line, your church is a production line, your office is a production line. Anywhere that you go, any institution, the media is a production line. Everything is feeding you so you can be the ideal worker.
Because it's, I was describing it to someone yesterday, that it's a war of resources. This is what you have to understand. You are a resource. You are a human resource. And it's like, okay, are we going to conquer you and subjugate you? Because to us, we don't see you as a life form that has value. We see you as something that I can use to create more money and more wealth and more power. So we, as the resource, we keep trying to call out to the abusers to give us some form of standing or some form of even it's the way reparations, they're never gonna give us reparations.
They will never.
They will never even give you reparations because you're a livestock.
I wanted it. I think I had a discussion with you. I got so inspired. I sat down. I looked at the case. I looked at it. I said, you know what? We could probably win it if we file it in separate countries at the same time.
Yeah.
Because if you bog them down enough,
Yeah.
you'll be able
Enough
to
paperwork,
get
right?
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I thought about it. In the way that we think about reparations, we will never receive it because they can't pay us. They can't give us back any. And to a matter of fact, they're still taking from us, so they cannot pay us. The reparations we might be able to get is we might be able to get the country's debts cancelled. It's still a fight worth fighting for to get the country's debts cancelled, to get a fresh start, to get out from under the IMF, to get out from under the World Bank and all of those stuff. But where it comes to us receiving the things that have been stolen back from us and that's never ever going to happen, and they're never going to quantify that into a figure because it's not quantifiable. You can't quantify the human resource. You can't quantify the loss of life. You can't quantify the fraud when it came to the insurance.
Can I kick in? Can I just interject one little quick thing as well?
Yeah.
Like also when you're saying World Bank, IMF, also the foreign aid is another secret one that they're using.
No,
us.
stop. Let me tell you something. Foreign aid that goes into Africa and into poorer countries, let me tell you, triple, sometimes quadruple, you might even get up to 10 times depending on what the resource is, comes out of that country and into European banks in Switzerland in particular. So when it comes to countries giving foreign aid, they use the foreign aid to control these countries, but I think what these countries really need to tell these people is, listen, you're taking 10 times sometimes out of my country. You shouldn't be telling me what to do. And as a matter of fact, if anything, you owe me this money. They do.
And another important point as well, when they give you the loan, they actually give you a stipulation. So you can't build schools with this loan.
Yeah, you can't do hospitals. But what you can do is you can make a road so that my trucks can get from the mine to the airport to take the resources out. That's what you can do. You can develop the airstrip so it's big enough for my planes, my cargo planes to land and collect your resources. You can develop a shipping port for that purpose. You can develop tourism so white people can come here and boss people around the same way they do in their fucking countries. You can do all of that, but you cannot develop your education system. You cannot develop your hospital. Listen, Jamaica has one hospital. One. And that's a stipulation given to them by the IMF. And you think that these people care about you? Exactly. They don't give a shit about us.
Now, I feel like 2015 for me was probably like, oh shit, this is the state of things. How awful. I can't handle this. I need several days
to
just process and to just be like, right, okay. 2016 was like, okay, you know that, and now you see it on a daily basis. You understand what something like, I don't know, let's say telling a kid, oh yeah, you don't want to be a doctor, like you're really good at basketball, try that. You understand what effect that has.
100%.
Subtly.
Yeah, it's
100%.
very subtle, but it all adds up. Like now I'm at a point where it's just like, okay, knowing all of that and knowing that when you scream, no one's coming for you, like what are you gonna do? What do we do? Like
the thing is that the what that we do is it has to be economics, because the only language that these people speak is resources and money.
I agree, and that's not to knock every person who identifies as white. It's not that. It's more the culture that has been created by a certain mentality that is very popular, shall we say.
You know what I say to white people who feel offended by black people speaking the way that we have to?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this isn't oh, my daddy can't get me into this school or this, and I know all white people don't have what we would look at. Well, you do have white privilege. I know how white people might not have economic privilege.
Definitely not.
But you do have white privilege.
Absolutely.
And you're perfectly able to get from point A to B just using your white skin.
Yeah.
I can't take my skin off. Everybody knows that I'm black. I can't change my hair.
Yeah.
Well, I can, but point being still, everybody knows that I'm black. I cannot change my physical features, anything along the lines of that, to fit into this. So I'm black. I have to live with this every day. Can't change my voice. Don't want to change my accent. Nothing. Fuck it.
Yeah, but white privilege even extends. Even though you're white and you come from a poor background, those who are white and rich, they will have increased sympathy towards you as opposed to a minority. So you know what? For example, when somebody shoots somebody in America, he was a
Lone
poor,
wolf.
he was a loner.
How many
he was
lone
a really
wolves
good
do we
guy.
have here? Y'all have a set of white supremacists in America who they all follow the same manifesto. They all read the same books. The alt-right has a set of books. They have their own music. There's a whole alt-right. There's a documentary on Netflix that gives you an insight into outright culture in Germany and how it starts. And that's general outright culture because Germany is like the mother, father, whatever of that culture. It all comes out of Germany and circulates throughout the populations in the world that think like that. There's a whole culture built around this. It's not, and that was what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, we look at police, yeah? In my opinion, all police are bad. You know why? Because the good ones do not stop the bad ones from doing what they're doing.
And the bad ones can hide behind the
good ones and say, and the good ones are allowing them to do that. And even when they do speak, when you speak out as a police officer and you say this is wrong, that's what makes you a good officer to me. When you can stand up and say, I don't agree with what my brother is doing, I can fully call you a good police officer after that. But for you to hold your hands up and say it's not me, I'm not doing it, I don't care. And it's the same thing with white people. I don't care. I consider you to be a racist. 1, if you're a racist. 2, if you're a racist sympathizer. 3, if you keep your mouth shut. Silence means if you can argue with me and tell me that any way that I feel is invalidated because this, that, and the third, you just want to keep your privilege. And this is a problem with what's going on now. White people will never willingly give up the privilege that they have. So no matter how much you tell me that you're here for my civil rights, you're here for this, you're here for that, whatever the case is, whenever y'all are on something, it's usually to benefit yourselves. Because at the end of the day, everybody else gets the benefits of all the rights that black people out here getting eaten for, beaten for, watered down for, whatever. And everybody else comes along and takes those rights. And they feel very well entitled to it. And they forget the struggle behind of it. So
I would say, you're right. Just look on the internet at the backlash against dear white people.
Yeah. Like white people don't want to hear about their bullshit.
No. you killed my point.
Sorry.
No, all I was just basically trying to say is that you see the effects that when we now, for example, stand up for ourselves, that's the thing. When you become pro anything or you then actually start exposing them via the media where they expose us all the time with the negative stereotypes. It's called, for example, the guy who killed Dylan Roof, who killed the 9 people, the police took him to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Burger King, isn't it? Was it Burger King? It
Burger
doesn't
King?
matter.
Burger King, it was Burger King.
Burger
Sorry,
King,
Burger
McDonald's, you took him to a fast food restaurant. This was a killer. Serial killer.
Yeah, but I feel like
they arrested. They took him for meals.
I feel like they do that on purpose. It's like psychological warfare. It's like you as a black person can say, I don't think it's fair that A, B, C, D, E, F, and then white supremacy will turn around and be like, well, A, B, C, D, that's not true. That's not. Where'd you get that from? That's ridiculous. Like, you sound crazy. You should get yourself checked out. And then when the shooting happens, Maya gets a fucking whopper for his trouble. You're just like,
you know what it is.
Well, you just told me I was mad.
But this is what it is though. It's where people say race doesn't matter. Race fully matters. Color fully fucking matters. Yeah. I am a black person. I am proud the fact that I am. There's only one race, the human race. It sounds absolutely lovely. But in actuality, come on. Let's be real here.
This is what I mean about the difference between biological race and political race. If we're talking biologically, let's all hold hands, give peace a chance, whatever. Politically, nah.
But the problem is that I feel like it goes even down to. Unfortunately, it goes even down to biologically. Biologically, we are programmed in 2 different ways.
I was having a conversation about this, maybe about 3 months back?
Yeah.
And it was literally saying, I feel like living here and being raised in this culture, there's a part of myself that says this isn't right, you know.
It's not.
This
No,
isn't
it's
right.
not right.
This
It's
isn't
crazy.
right. And then when you're the kind of person who is literally at conflict with themselves, because there's part of you that's like, no, I don't know what the alternative is, but there has to be an alternative to the way that things are being run now.
The sun.
The sun.
And the reason why I'm laughing is because, like, I literally feel like when I was in the Caribbean, I used to feel like 100% power.
Oh my God.
You
100%
feel
power.
powered up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
feel
Literally,
powered up.
yeah.
Here during winter time, you struggle to get above 50%.
Yo, it's like a
mad.
battery on low,
It is,
like,
yeah.
and
it's
you
mad.
can't charge it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is crazy. And I'm just like, that is the level of if you want to call it warfare now that you're at, to a point where you stepping outside at a certain time of year is going to affect your performance. Like, that is how deep it is.
Do you know what it is? We don't realize on a cellular molecular level. There's this book called Melanin. Ooh, wait. I need to find it. Wait.
Okay, you find it. In the meantime, I'll ask my question. So, do you think then that they have gone to the depths of programming, that they have even engineered that poverty to an extent that we now have to leave our countries to come over
have.
here? So the brightest
Oh,
and the
yeah,
best
yeah.
constantly
Yes.
have to leave the
Yeah,
country to come
yeah,
over here,
of course.
and then they will end up in mental servitude or
You see,
slavedom
what-
of the mind
What
because
happens
your body
is that's
is
exactly
not
what it is.
performing.
You look at actual
Because of the lack of the
transatlantic
sun.
slave trade, and it was like, we have, and this is my best impression of the white supremacist voice. We have a really good idea here. Like, we can use these people to build things, and we don't have to pay them. That's great. Why? Like, all right, from a moral perspective, it's awful, but from a business, from an economic, why on
Can I
earth?
say one
But
thing?
you know why? The thing is that why did you pick? Because they had the Irish doing it before.
Can I-
Yeah.
Till they realized that Irish people couldn't last in the sun. They couldn't do it. So who do you go to get to do this work? Why do you select these specific people?
Even before that, I was researching it, and it was they learned it from the Arabs.
Yes.
They saw how the Arabs were progressing economically by using blacks as
Slaves.
slaves.
Yeah.
And so this is, aha.
Yeah.
So we are going to take the model from the Arabs and we're going to
Yeah.
use it to actually build up our own country.
Yeah.
So it even goes even deeper than that.
Yeah.
And the book is called Melanin: What Makes Black People Black. I think everybody should probably have a read of
It
it.
sounds
It's
like
by Dr. Laila Africa.
Okay.
But the gist of it is that even on a molecular level, you interact differently because you have melanin in
Yeah.
your skin.
Yeah.
You interact differently with everything in your surroundings. But what they haven't taught us is how that affects us. When you was in science class in school, did you even learn about melanin surpass short the whole that's what makes your skin dark? Did you learn what properties it helps? Melanin helps the sound in your ears. Melanin helps to preserve your heart, your liver, your
Generally
kidneys.
speaking.
Like your brain has
Yeah.
different melanocytes in it that can, like, there's so much different things that connect with the melanin and the
Even-
sun and how they interact with one another. It's like chlorophyll.
Even helps to protect you from viruses,
Yeah.
from diseases and stuff like that.
And I feel
It
like,
acts
this is the kind of information that goes a long way towards rebuilding the collective self-esteem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like the biggest problem we have as black people is we don't define our value for ourselves. If we did,
we are afraid to.
it would be mad, but it's only because throughout history, like, we've gotten so used to other people telling us, you know, this is who you are, this is what you do, this is who you're descended from, this is your destiny, blah, 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 blah. If we were actually able to stop and be like, wait, what if we actually define that for ourselves?
And the,
But then
the
if you
craziest
look at
thing,
it from this perspective, there are African people who do that because
Yeah.
they know their history
Yeah.
down to the very first man that started their lineage up to today.
but what I
Yeah.
was gonna,
But then what counteracts all of that and
Mm.
what counteracts all that positivity and knowing yourself is, imagine only knowing that.
Yeah.
And then knowing, I'm back to my point about religion, because I feel like that's what circumvented everything that we could. If there's an issue, you go back to religion, it will solve it.
But sorry, I'm not cutting you. What I was gonna say though is that it's not just about, it's like there are people who know themselves, yeah? Who've always known themselves. For example, even Marcus Garvey, he was trying to wake up people from back in the day, telling them who they are. But you see, the moment that you start expressing the knowing of yourself, immediately
You get shut
the
down.
programming in white supremacy, I'm talking about in blacks,
Yeah.
and in whites, even more in blacks, it's also, who do you think you are? Like,
that's
why are
it.
you being so
And this is
pro-black all of a sudden? What are you talking? So are you trying to say that now that white people are inferior? Are you saying that
Yeah.
Asians are now inferior?
Yeah.
So you now think
But
that
this
you're
is it.
special? How do you combat that?
But
then?
we are special.
But this is,
Yeah, but how do you? No,
Go
what I'm
here.
asking is, how do you combat that then?
for me personally, it boils down to the gradual rejection of dualistic thinking.
Yeah.
So this idea of this versus that, black, white, up, down, left, right. When you're actually able to get to a point where your brain doesn't make those distinctions.
You don't pick a side. You think about it broadly.
Yeah, and you realize what needs to happen in the most objective of ways, and it's not a question of, oh yeah, we need to go to war and it's going to be a fight to the it's not that. It's literally, okay, I need to be able to function on a level where I can take what I want when I want to do what I want with it.
Yeah.
And when you say economics, that's what it's about.
Because what I was gonna say is, okay, if you're at 50%,
Yeah.
and I'm at 20%,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to get
Yeah.
to 50%,
Yeah.
right? And you are constantly progressing now to get to 100.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be behind you.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to get to 50.
Yeah.
You're aiming to get to 100, but you won't even allow me to get to the 50
Yeah.
that you once were, because you feel that
Yeah.
somehow you're going to be inferior if I even get to 50%. That doesn't
Yeah.
even make sense.
And white people have had a 5, 6, 700 year start on the 100%. So
I
they're
feel like-
currently
nah,
at 90
yeah.
and we're like 25.
But I think, and this is the interesting thing about being black, like, I feel like we are, like, the maddest technology on the planet. Like,
Yeah.
we will learn shit so quickly. You take the fact
Rapidly.
that, you know, you come over it, like, me, for example, like, I can get into conversations with people and they're like, oh my God, you're so well-spoken. And I'm in my head, it's not that I'm well-spoken, it's just, you look at me and you expect a different kind of sound to come out of my mouth.
Yep.
But
Do you know what I mean?
spoken?
Problem.
I don't understand. Okay, what is well spoken? Because this is what I always say. You speak perfect English.
Yeah.
If you went to Spain, you
Yeah.
can't speak a lick of Spanish,
Yeah.
right? But a Spanish person who comes over here, who's a dual linguist,
Yeah.
because they are speaking with an accent,
Yeah.
you're making fun of them. This is
Yeah.
somebody who, because by speaking two languages, their brain
Yeah.
becomes more advanced
Yeah.
than you.
Yeah.
But you're looking down on
Yeah.
them.
But we
That-
don't-
I'm thinking
we're
that
not
is
trained to
crazy.
see it that way.
That's
the reason
crazy.
why black people speak in the way that they do, in the vernacular that they do throughout the world, and it doesn't matter where you go, black people have a broken, or what people would call a broken accent, or a different type of vernacular. And the reason for that is that these are not our languages.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they don't even make sense
Yeah.
to us in our language peripheral, because half of the words that exist in most African languages, they don't exist in English, and half of the words that exist in English, they don't exist in most African languages. And there's a place where they may meet, but our brains really and truly were not meant to process this dumb shit. Because if you think about it, English in particular is one of the stupidest languages on earth. It doesn't make sense from a certain point. Like, you can't, where in a language will you have two words that look the same and that sound the same and are spelled different? How does that even make sense? You're lazy.
And when they created English, what they purposefully did is that they took the sound,
Yeah.
the power of sound, out of it.
Yeah.
Because we used to speak through sound
Rhythmic
as well,
pattern as well.
Yeah.
and that had an emotional impact or effect on
No,
you.
it does even now.
Yeah.
Like,
or even a spiritual effect on you.
You can know a black man's voice over radio or anywhere where you can't see a black man. You know his voice because a black man has a baritone in his voice or a tone he's able to reach in his voice that no other man in my like hearing men speak. I've never ever heard any other man reach that tone. I can always tell when it's a black guy, and it's not because of his accent. It's literally because of the tone. His tone will vibrate in my chest, and I know that's a black person.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that happens to other black people, but I'm just saying it happens to me. So
that's the power that you have, and you don't, like, as a people, we don't tap into that nearly as often as we should.
When we sing, we do.
Yeah.
Which is why we're so good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was even researching that a lot of even the Jamaican words, even like the word that we say like mumu, for example, that's actually that's the Ghanaian word. You understand? So
in the same context, and we continue to use it in the same context that it's used in there. So if I say use a mumu, a Ghanaian, I mean use a fool.
Yeah.
So we're not even actually speaking broken English. We are also speaking traces of our African language intertwined. Because imagine that they took you on an island. They abandoned you after the abolition of slavery, and they left you to fend for yourself. And so you had to pick up whatever pieces you had together and create a language. That's power. Yeah. You created a language from nothing so you could communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And now people are looking down on that creation of the language. But at the same time, they're still saying, wow, go on, fam.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is why I will never, exactly. This is why I will never lose my accent. And don't ask me about losing my accent. I remember going back home after I think my first year in England and having people ask me why I don't have a British accent. This British accent, no offense to people that speak like this, I find it to be one of the most annoying fucking songs on this earth, and I will never, ever pick it up. And I don't find it. What I will go do though is learn some Swahili. What I will go do is go learn some other African languages so I can communicate with my people.
Yeah, because it doesn't have. These languages, they don't have a soul. The Western languages, they don't have a soul. Whereas the African languages, says they speak to the soul. Even with the talking drum, right? That the drum would actually, different ways you hit it creates different sounds, which relates to words.
Yeah.
And imagine a drum pattern being able to be distinct. Sorry, I'm just saying. I don't think y'all was over here in England banging on trees and it reverbing through the forest and communicating in that way.
So even before the telephone existed, the mobile phone existed, they could communicate with each other over long distances, and that is natural technology. That's but us using nature.
This is what I mean by we are like some mad form of like technology. Like it is crazy, but we don't think in that way all the time. You don't think to yourself, because I have a phone, that means that my voice can now be heard thousands of miles away, or because I'm on WhatsApp, or better yet, because I'm on Twitter, that means I've got a direct line to everyone. Do you know what I mean?
And number two, I would say thing is like they didn't take. We need to stop this. We say this rhetoric all the time. They did not take slaves from Africa. They took doctors. They took scientists. They took the best and the brightest
lawyers.
People. And that is why they were able to build so quickly, because they took us, they used our technology. For example, even JD that we drink today. Yeah. He was not the originator of his whiskey.
That doesn't surprise me.
Do you understand? It was a slave that showed him how to distill that.
But we've been dealing with this idea of cultural appropriation for the longest time.
It gets deeper than that. All the medicine that was practiced in America during slavery, it was literally the slave women who knew these techniques, knew what roots, etc., and the plantation people would actually call them to come, and they were like the doctors. They would quicker call a slave than they would call the doctor in the actual community.
But again, imagine what that does to this narrative of black people ain't shit.
Like, and that's why they won't teach us our history, because if you tell people, listen, every ancient example of what people could do was done by you. Yeah. And then you come forward now, and almost every modern invention was actually created by you.
Yeah. Like, this is one of the craziest ones. Like, Henry Ford. You know why the factory was called the plant? because a slave who was his friend was studying the plants one day and realized that by watching nature, if you replicate that, you can actually speed up production. So then Henry Ford went and took that and created the first plant
And
in
your
the
light
first
bulbs.
factory to mass produce cars.
And your
You understand?
traffic lights. And your heater, your phone. Actually, the phone was invented by us.
I think
Someone.
I hear this now, and in my mind, it's kind of like we need to get that back. Does that make sense? It needs, like, I don't look at this as if to, like, I feel like in this culture, like in Europe or in Western culture, you're kind of taught to look outwards for things. You're taught, if you want to be really good at math, you have to study like for years, and you need to go
to university here and there.
You need to know who Plato is, Pythagoras, blah, 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 blah. I feel like if there was a version of culture where it was taught that you have everything within you already, and it's just a question of finding it, you would be able to do things like look at a plant and be like, right, okay.
Exactly.
But do you know what it is? This is why it's not promoting. I'm not promoting segregation per se, but I am promoting black children going to schools with an Afrocentric curriculum with teaching them things that they need to survive in this world. I don't care what anybody says. I feel like I would have been traumatized if I had grown up going to school here.
Yeah.
Because...
But you probably would have been and not even known it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what tends to happen here. It's like you end up a lot traumatized because imagine being maybe one or two of many black people, of the people in your school, maybe one or two black people there.
Yeah.
Or even if you go to a majority black school, your teachers aren't black.
Yeah.
And more than likely, your teachers don't know anything about black history.
Yeah.
And they're not going to try to teach it to you. And if they do, they'll give you the watered down condensed version that began with slavery. I don't understand why our history always begins with slavery.
Because that's the best way to convince a group of people that this is what you're descended from.
This is what you are.
And once that's the generally accepted belief, you don't want to aim to be doing all this mad shit because you don't have any examples of that. The film Hidden Figures, I'm like, oh my God, not only do we have a film where all the faces on the poster are black, they're black women. And it's about scientists and all this shit. Like, I've got friends saying, why didn't we learn about this stuff in school? It would have been so beneficial. But again, it would have meant that you would aspire to do...
To be a
scientist.
But the problem... And I feel like we... In the Caribbean, I particularly feel... I don't know about Africa per se because I've not lived there. And I think there's a bit of a difference in different countries.
Yeah.
But in the Caribbean, the Leeward Islands particularly, where I'm from, everything that I've seen, every doctor, almost every lawyer, whatever the case is, like, they've all been black people. So in my mind, I've always conceptualized the fact that black people could... As a matter of fact, where I'm from, we make a joke, maybe not white people, but the lighter skinned people, we actually make a joke saying that they're simple.
Yeah.
So... It's kind of like reverse racism, I suppose, or reverse prejudice, or whatever the case is.
But explain to the listeners out there why you thought that it was simple. It's because they stayed in one place.
They stayed in one place.
They were interbreeding with each other.
Yeah.
They were interbreeding with one. Because what it was is like that breed of person on the island, their ancestors got shipwrecked. And they swam ashore, or whatever the case is, and they came ashore in one part of the island. And that's the part of the island that they stayed in.
And they never left.
Then they never left. And then there's another part of the island where there's another community of people who are very light-skinned, similar. But they're albino light-skinned, like.
Yeah.
And, but they were, or I don't know if they came from, like, one person, if it was a plantation that was there or whatever. But they're all light-skinned as well. And it's the same connotation to both. Particularly when I was growing up, no, because we've got the influence of America with this light skin, dark skin thing. I think the variation might change, but when I was growing up, it was the automatic assumption that people from the light skinned people from that were simple.
Yeah.
And it was just because of how the dynamics work, because they weren't in government.
Yeah.
They weren't they weren't going away to school.
Yeah.
They weren't doing it.
Yeah.
So it was simply like okay.
Just a completely different community that lived.
Yeah.
But the light skin, dark skin epidemic just literally came out of nowhere. and they just allowed it to blow up.
Yeah.
It's another.
came out of
it's
nowhere.
And this is what
Another
it all
tool.
boils down to. In truth, is it's the exploitation of difference. It's saying, what is it about you that I can identify that quickly that I can use against you to say, okay, I'm better now because of it. Guaranteed, when you see someone, the first thing you're going to notice is, the way they look, the color of their skin, whatever. And from time that's different, it's like, okay, now there's something like that's my way.
But we do that amongst ourselves, even as
we
black
do,
people,
and
because we're tribalist people.
it needs to stop. It needs to stop because you need to understand that politically speaking, you're all in the same boat.
Exactly.
You're all in exactly the same boat. So whether this person's hair falls straight or curly, or this person's skin is lighter or darker than yours, it doesn't make one bit of difference. It doesn't make any difference.
And, sorry, I don't mean to cut you
No,
off.
it's
And gay,
Yep.
straight,
Yep.
bi,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep. It's all
Christian,
just,
Christian, whatever, Muslim, whoever. Like, literally, you're black.
Yeah.
What, your skin is dark.
Yep.
You are in a place where you are at the bottom of the ladder,
Yep.
and you're from the Solomon Islands in the Pacific right around to the Caribbean and the Atlantic and
Yep.
everything in between.
Yep.
It's the same thing. I don't care what your genetic lineage is.
Yep.
You're of dark skin.
Yep.
You're a black person.
Yep.
And I'm saying black people, not even people of African descent. Black people in general.
Yeah.
You're black.
You're black. We're in trouble. We have to get over these differences.
Yeah.
We have to get over these differences for no. When we're done with the actual challenge
can
that
go
we're
back to
we can
splitting
go
hairs.
back to fighting.
Yeah.
when we sort out our own conflict.
Yeah.
And I suspect that when we sort out our own conflicts, we won't go back to fighting. And the reason why I say that is because I think by then we'll be able to understand that a lot of things that we fight over
Yeah.
are constructs of white supremacy.
Yeah.
Other tribes not liking other tribes is a construct of white supremacy because they
Yeah.
pitted them against one another for a very long time.
100%.
Other Caribbean people not liking other Caribbean people, it is a symptom of white supremacy. It is a your news headlines was this for so long that you've now come, but where was your news coming from? Things like journalism, etc. Caribbean people weren't performing those actions for quite a while. It was in those areas, it was kind of a British controlled thing or whatever. And you've gotten a lot of your ideology, There's a show on BBC called
Is it that the big
Island Paradise,
Oh, Island Paradise.
Anguilla.
Yeah.
And the island I'm from, Anguilla. Big
Yeah.
up, 264. Yeah, anyway. They've got a whole show, and it's based on Anglican Church and how I guess it interacts with the island or whatever the case is, and they don't know. I watched the first episode and I couldn't watch it again because it was like an advertisement for British tourists to come to the island basically and feel comfortable because there's other white people there.
Yeah.
And because the locals are the typical Caribbean people that you would expect. They don't look aggressive. They are grinny and friendly. They're all this. And I agree.
And they worship white people.
And they
That's
worship
just
white
like,
people,
put it in
basically. And that's what white people like to know when they come to our countries.
Yeah.
And they treat us exactly in that way. It's like, oh, look at the locals. Look,
yeah.
the locals are so nice.
Yeah.
It's like you're at a zoo and you're petting a panda.
Yeah.
And-
But again, like, I feel like we need to get to a point within ourselves where it's like, well, hang on. Like, they love black shit. They love it. Like, they absolutely love it, but I'm not making any money off of it.
No.
That's a problem.
Because
Like,
you're a resource.
yeah, but here's the thing, like, the power lies with me, ultimately. Like, I work on a bar, right? And I can pour drinks for people all day long. Guaranteed, like, on one shift, there'll be at least 3 people that firms me over the bar, spud, fists, whatever. They don't know me from Adam, but they look at me and they think, okay, this guy's black. And he's not black in a way that seems inaccessible. If I
Yeah.
just stretch out
Got
my
my
hand.
hand and
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now imagine a world where I'm getting paid like 22 pence every time that happens. Just because I've copyrighted that part of my culture. Do you know what I mean?
That is the thing. We have things in our the last episode was called Can We Have Our Things?
Yeah.
And it was called Can We Have Our Things because I have an explicit issue with white people taking our cultural things and watering it the fuck down to please their non-seasoning chicken asses. And it's like the idea of seasoning chicken. We put flavor on everything. You take our flavor, you put maybe some salt, pepper, a little cilantro, and some paprika, and you run with it. Forgetting all the rest of the shit that's there. You're forgetting the allspice, you're forgetting the garlics and the onions and everything else that goes inside of that. It really is fucked up.
All it basically is like, hold on, okay. Let's wait for them to create something and let's repackage it, water it down, or literally let's dumb it down to where our people can accept it, and then we're going to sell it to them like we first created it.
That's exactly
so that's
what's
all
going
they do.
on
That's all they do.
The music now and what's this tropical house rubbish or whatever it's called.
Bro, dance hard. Let me tell you.
We was talking about that last week.
Oh, you should. Don't you ever in your life tell me anything about tropical fucking house. That is dance hall, and if it ain't dance hall, it's soca. Fuck it.
Yeah. But again, like it, and you're seeing it happen. It's.
And nobody's speaking up. And the people who should be speaking up, they're not, because for some reason, there's a sector of black people who feel like everything is for everybody. And I feel like it's a way for them to fit in. It's not even necessarily them agreeing with the opinion that they have.
Yeah.
It is literally that white savior mentality where, oh my God, I don't want to leave white people or anything because I can't be like that because I'm black and I know how it feels and blah, blah, blah. So you feel like this is the politically correct thing for you to do. But you're out here being politically correct and nobody that matters is being politically correct to you.
Yeah.
And therein lies the point. You can feel like being politically correct with your friends all you fucking want, but nobody who has influence and change on anything is being politically correct. They are doing this blatantly in front of your fucking face, and you're an idiot to be sitting there saying to yourself, well, you know, I've got white friends, and I don't care. I got white family. I give zero fucks. Because at the end of the day, I'm not white. I can't sit there. I can't go with my white auntie and say, hey, or my white uncle and be like, oh, white privilege. I got like sexually transmitted white privilege or whatever. Or like,
no, but
doesn't make.
What people don't understand is like white privilege or white supremacy is like the Romanians, Bulgarians, Polish people who are white. They don't even consider them white because they're not Western. So that we don't want you here. So anybody that is attacking white Western civilization, supremacy or domination is considered against white supremacy.
No, but that's wrong as well, because I will tell you why your statement is wrong. Why
hold on.
say that?
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm just stating to say is like they will attack anybody. Yeah? We are the enemy. We are the number one target. But even nobody escapes their attack as long as you are going against their domination.
I will tell you this. There ain't a lot of black people in Poland, Bolivia, Finland, Norway, blah, 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 all these nice places, wherever. Well, Finland, I'm talking about Norway. And I say nice because they have a relatively good standard of living. But all these places, there aren't many black people there. And there aren't many black people there for a good reason. These motherfuckers gave birth to the motherfuckers that over here right now when it comes to racist, white supremacy, and all of that. Let me tell you.
The Vikings, Finland.
Be in mind that the problem with European and British people and that whole immigrant thing, I don't even think that's white supremacy. I think that's tribalism, because I will tell you why not. Because until a white European opens their mouth, they're just white. And you don't know if that's Becky from down the road or that's Slagva from Romania. Like, you don't know until she opened her mouth. And if she perfect her British language.
I could tell a Polish person from a mile away.
No, let me tell you this. In the eyes of a white person, if that Polish woman is getting attacked by a group of men, she's a white woman. Yeah. That's it. So it doesn't. like
That's white privilege.
That's what white privilege is.
You can wear your skin anywhere on this planet and no one's going to trouble you.
Precisely. So the reason why I say this is that we like to take everybody cars on.
No, I wasn't taking their cause on.
But
I was just using that as an example to show that how these people, it's like for them, Western civilization or Western countries are the epitome of white supremacy. They're the head of white supremacy.
Well, yeah, because
this is what I'm saying. So they will attack anybody who is
against that,
who is challenging that. That's what I was saying.
There's a ladder of white supremacy. Black people are on the very bottom of that ladder. But let me, and I want to make this very clear. And everybody has, like, anybody with any sort of pro-black or pan-Africanist or whatever in the movement have been saying this for time. Let me tell you this. Dr. Henrik Clark said, and I quote, "We have no fucking friends." He didn't say fucking, but I tell you, we have no fucking friends. I'm doing the black girl clap with it. We have no fucking friends. The reason why I'm saying this is because everybody will use you. I said this previously. Everybody will use you as cannon fodder to fight for the things that they want. But when it comes down to it, at the end of it, from the Asian man go up to whoever else white supremacist got his foot on, they will put their foot on your necks in the same fucking way. That's why tell me something. Do you think a Miriam could go home with a Jerome?
No.
Okay then. And we all know that. And it's finally acceptable. It's finally acceptable that we know that Miriam can't go home with Jerome. And if Miriam does go home with Jerome, there's a huge issue. More than likely. Yeah?
Yeah.
But Jerome could go home with Miriam, and Jerome's mother is like, "Oh, lovely." And that is our fucking problem right there.
Yeah.
It is.
That's our problem right there. We allow everybody else to be racist towards us. We allow everybody else to put us in a box. But we don't put nobody in no box. We just open our box up like, "Hey, come in. Come in." You cannot do that shit. It's not self-preservation.
The way I feel about it is that we first have to fix all our problems. It's like, if this is a household and we are not even in agreement, then how are we then going out there and helping and addressing the other sick and homeless people when we are sick ourselves and we haven't tried to heal ourselves? And that's what we've been doing for centuries now, for decades, you know what I mean? So for me personally, it's like, okay, what are the problems now? Like, if you are a light, shine to those around you. If you are awoken in your way, speak to those around you, educate them. Then I'm not saying that for you to quit your job now and start a business. But if you have a business idea, do like an Etsy, Shopify, what they call on the side. You know what I mean? Start getting like different streams of income. And then take that money and buy from a black business. This is what we are saying.
The thing is that economic control is important, because remember, once you are employed by somebody else, your speech is limited, what you can do is limited, your activities are limited. And it's that way because it's a form of control. You don't say certain things if you're walking in a certain place, because you don't give your opinions on Facebook. That's why you can hardly get a straight answer to anybody that mean anything about racism or anything along the lines of that. You get that whole multicultural bullshit all the time, but nobody will give you a real answer unless they're specifically pro-black. You don't find anybody out there giving you a straight answer. And the reason for that is simply your pockets. You want your dollars to come into your pocket. So if you have financial independence, and that's why we say we need listen, if you're getting benefits, you can't be getting up to fight no battles. And the reason why you can't be getting up, because if they cut your benefits and you don't have no way of getting money, what are you gonna do? So the minute somebody threaten you with, listen, you're fighting against the state, people who fight against the state can't get benefits, what are you gonna do? No, what they're doing in America, if you organize a protest and the protest turns violent, you're responsible for it financially. Who's gonna organize protests against the government now?
Yeah.
Particularly when you have government infiltrators coming in and actually stirring up the violence in these protests. People have what do you call it?
Agitators, kind of.
Yeah, you have agitators, but people have actually gone on record saying that they've seen these people getting out of vans and starting to do this, like beating up people and crashing windows and all sorts of stuff. And it's not us.
Go even further, because they went even further and say you could actually lose your home
Yeah,
could
and you
actually
can lose your home. Yeah.
And then Steve Bannon is saying, let's go back to the part where only homeowners, so like they put it, make you
Could
lose your
vote.
home, and then let's go back to the part now where only homeowners can vote, so that you go and riot, you lose your home, then you no longer have the right to vote as well.
Yeah.
And all of these, when it comes to voting laws, all of these voting laws are particularly for black people. Those are the only people that are marginalized by voting laws. You won't have any regulation on voting if it wasn't for that fact. Like, and I don't even know how it even begins in the UK, because they've done it in a way where, look at Birmingham. The amount of votes that Birmingham has is not nowhere proportional to its population, and it should be, because there's a lot of people here. But in little places where you got no black people, no ethnic minorities, they have bigger votes. Their system is rigged.
Of course it's rigged, but I think what we need to do now, and I've always been, somebody says, oh, don't vote, don't get involved in politics like that. They can't help us. But I always meant, I believe in my heart, the top state politics, like, or federal politics, but I would say local governance. Start getting involved in local governance. Become a councillor if you can. In America, what would you call it? A governor.
You can become a mayor. You can become a governor. You can go for Congress. You can go for Senate. There's a lot. You can go for police chief. You can go for judge.
Start getting involved in those things.
We need to take, and I say take, and I mean take, and not be given power.
Yeah.
It needs to be
taken
now, because we're at a level where like, for the simple fact that the three of us can talk at this level, like there's very little in terms of, oh yeah, we don't have access to resources and education and and you need to take it now. You need to take it, and you need to build for yourself, because it's not gonna come from outside. It has to be you. You have to. Conversations like this need to happen more often. I need to go into a bookshop and know that there is a section where I can find out all of the shit that I need to know in order to survive in a climate like this, because it's
for too long, what we've been doing is telling black people that we are crazy and the issues that we have don't exist. That's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Black people have been doing it to other black people as well, because the minute that you have some type of... I can't say I've personally experienced everything that every other... I don't know what it's like to be a black man, for one.
Exactly.
So I can't go out here speaking for black men.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be a British-born black person. Yeah. I cannot speak from that perspective.
Yeah.
My experiences are different. But what I can do is look around me and see that this is fuckery. So even if I haven't experienced it myself, I can look around and notice that's fucker. So for y'all to stand up here and try to give any kind of defense towards any injustices occurring towards black people, and saying and giving all of this bullshit, but it's only been this long since this, and all the fuckery that y'all be out here saying, or look, that didn't happen to me, my dad was hardworking, my this and whatever you have, whatever excuse you fucking have, like, stop.
Number two thing I would say as well, like for the pastors, for like religious leaders, start pacifying the people with God or with Jesus in a way like, oh, don't worry, don't fight against the system, Jesus will take care of all of your problems. Bullshit. He's coming back soon. Like, bullshit. For me, you're literally pacifying swaths of black people every Sunday by telling them that they shouldn't get involved, they shouldn't fight. All they should do is just pray and hope, and the situation will change. That is bullshit.
And that is what's
pray and
wrong.
hope will not change the situation without action, because God, the Most High, doesn't work on faith alone. He works on action, and then He will help you when you're working.
That's what's wrong with us
pushing.
Today in general, because anytime there's a situation that requires black people to stand up, have a voice,
we let go and we let God.
Yeah, let go and let God. Oh my God. When your child gets killed, somebody tell me how Trayvon Martin or how these people that got shot up in this church.
Yeah.
How is it that their families end up being the ones to apologize? How is it all the time when a black person gets killed by the police or somebody else or whatever, our families and us have to end up going on TV and apologizing and begging people, saying, oh, I've forgiven them and blah, blah, blah. Fuck that. But I am sure God ain't forgive Dylan Roof, much less anybody else. Y'all need to stop with this it's assness. It honestly is. No, it's assness, because if you can sit down and see something happening to your community for so long, and you can still peddle this bullshit about wait on God.
Black people.
There's a lot of fucking people in this world, you know. If you ain't doing something for God to help you, then he ain't fucking helping you. And that's just the way it is.
Black people suffer from Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Like we
love these
our
white people.
abusers.
We love them.
And our leaders have
That is,
sold us out.
I was thinking about that coming over here because I was thinking you're gonna ask me, so like what generally what's the problem? And that's it. Stockholm syndrome. That is it. I was thinking it's like an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
It's like you need to leave. Like your partner is beating you black and blue every night, but you won't leave. You won't leave. You can't because
You're trapped.
Where do I go?
Where do I go?
And every time we do rise up and try to leave, they give us that little bit of just enough of love.
Yeah.
They give us that little bit
Yeah.
more rights.
Baby,
Like,
I'm
oh, you know what,
sorry.
like,
come on back.
Yeah.
We
There you
love
go.
you.
Yeah.
Have voting rights.
Yeah.
You have voting rights now, so it's okay. You quiet down. You fight for something else. Here you go. For example, like we never wanted integration. What we were actually asking for was equalization. So therefore, let us be within our communities, but let us be equal to you.
Stop hanging us from trees. Stop burning our bodies on crosses. Stop meaning that as a black man can't walk down the road.
Stop.
And when I do, if a white man is in my way, I can't even say excuse me without looking down at me.
Thank
Excuse
you.
me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Fuck that.
Stop burning
That's
down
what we
our
wanted.
banks. Stop burning down our businesses.
Yes.
Stop burning down our homes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop attacking and dehumanizing our schools and our school systems. Allow us to live in peace. So imagine, right? You hate me, but you still want me to be right next to you so you can keep an eye on me
Yeah.
and know everything that I'm doing.
But
And
the
that's
thing is
crazy.
that the reason why they do that though is because if you fear somebody's potential, what you're going to do is keep your foot on their neck. Because what white people genuinely are afraid of is the fact that we might turn around and do the same thing to them.
Yeah.
And I like to send this message out here. I am sure that there's a lot of black people that would like to turn around and do the same shit to you that you did to us. But I will say this. There's more black people out there who don't give a fuck and ain't interested in that type of karma.
Yeah.
All we want is our freedom to do what we want to do in the way that we want to do it without y'all. We're not children.
Can I throw a
Most of the
spanner?
time.
Can I throw a spanner in the works as well? Because there's also been that hidden agenda, and I've been looking at that recently. It came to a point where the Jews started pitting the whites against the blacks because they wanted the rights behind us. So they were fighting. They was right with us in the civil move. Like Bernie Sanders, no disrespect to him, but he was with us in the civil rights movement because they wanted
Civil rights for Jews. Because
they
Jews
wanted
didn't have
those
the rights.
They wanted those rights as well. So they used us to get the rights. And then also, while the blacks and the whites are fighting, they rose in every economic situation to the top of it. From the
Follow
media
the money.
to politics.
Follow the money.
Do you understand? To finance.
Yeah.
To
Follow the
economics,
money.
to business, Wall Street, everything. Look the top. Ben Bernanke. Yeah? Top. A Jew. In the feds.
Yeah.
Jews.
Yeah.
South Africa.
The ones who are criticizing the media. If you look at most of these talk hosts, they're Jews.
Yeah.
What's that?
Seth Meyers. Oh my God, he drives me crazy.
They're all Jews. You understand? And they are
Not
actually
Seth
at
Meyers.
the top.
Rogan.
The ugly one. The one that looks like a you know, he's
I
got
know
the
who
quiff. Bill Mayer.
Bill Mayer.
Mayer.
Oh, okay.
He's
So-
quite liberal, but he's very liberal Jew to the point where he's anti-Muslim. And the thing that kills me with a Jew being anti-Muslim is y'all in the people in place. And as a matter of fact, fuck that. Y'all in our place. Like, if anybody should be saying who should be there, you should go to Africa and ask some black people who should be there, really. Well, no, sorry. You should go further into Africa and ask the black people who originally occupied Israel. You know where they are.
Yes.
You know their history. It's in a book somewhere. You go ask them and you figure out who really should be there, who they feel like should be there.
So
Y'all full of bullshit.
and then in church, we had then taught
To donate
love
all our money
the
to
Jews,
Israel.
to love the white Jews, the white Ashkenazi Zionists, fake Jews in Israel, in Africa, who are dying because the sun is killing them with melanoma because they're not allowed to be there. And that's the number one thing. Do you want to know if a land has been occupied, just go onto Google
and find the
just
skin
type in
cancer rate.
Skin cancer
Australia
rates.
and South Africa directly
New Zealand.
and New Zealand directly behind Israel. And if you don't know, New Zealand has a high population of white people who believe that they marry with people for... No, let me tell you something. If you go look at a real Maori person, like a real, not my bloodline mix-up Maori person, they are black people, by the way. But you will see that every New Zealand under the sun claiming that they are Maori. It's because they've been blended so much. But there's a whole white population of New Zealand with their tribal tattoos and they're stomping and rallying and whatever as well. But yeah,
in Hawaii, they actually forced them to become a state, of America. And then they took away all their land. Mm-hmm. Then they put in a law called the Quiet Law. So what it is that if I am rich, I could go to Hawaii, and if you own land as a native, I can sue you to take your land.
And that's what Mark Zuckerberg is currently doing in Hawaii.
You see, this is... The point I'm at now is it's like, okay, you have a legal system that allows that fuckery to happen.
Thank you.
Because what somebody was saying the other day, and it's the truth, if it's not lawful and legal are two different things.
Isn't that the truth?
Lawful is a law of the land, the common law of the land. Legal is what these people put into their structure. And the reason why the UK was such an interesting place is because most places like America, they follow their constitution. It's very entrenched. You have a guidelines of rules. The reason why the UK and places that operate like the UK are so special is because they don't have an entrenched constitution. It's developed right alongside one another. So the reason why things aren't very clear in these types of places is because the lawful and the legal operate because remember, slavery was once legal, but was it ever lawful?
Yeah. It was never lawful.
It was never lawful, but it was once legal.
America actually, they use what is called, they use Navy law, they use maritime law. And maritime law is a law of commerce.
Yeah.
So literally means that anybody who has money and power could do whatever they want
in America. And America operates on that system because America is built on the US dollar. Yes. The US dollar does not belong to Americans. The US dollar is a private corporation ran entity. The Federal Reserve is a private corporation. The government pays. Who you think the government owe all this money to and all this interest to? It ain't the people. So who them owe all this money? So all the trillions of dollars America is in debt with. There's somebody out there who America owes that $1 trillion. And I ain't talking about stocks and bonds. I'm not talking about them selling bonds to people. I ain't talking about the Chinese debt, like the bonds at China. But I talking about in terms of I print your money and I charge you interest on the dollar. There are people out there collecting trillions of dollars from the American
those are
those are the people who are really wealthy in this world. Those are the people who own the newspapers to the point where you won't see about them. You only hear about the Rothschilds once in a blue moon and a dotted piece of news that's in the bottom corner of the newspaper.
Can I blow their mind?
What?
Legally, the police can abuse us like how they do. That's why legally they can lock us up in prisons. That's why they can do what they do, because they feel emboldened and empowered. Because what happened is when the civil rights movement happened and they gave us voting rights, yes, and they gave us integration, what we was actually asking for, which was lawful and legal citizenship and equalization, they never gave to us. It was a swap. So Martin Luther King actually, God rest, bless his soul, they sold us out.
Yeah, but they didn't know.
They sold us out.
Do you know what he did?
It was funded.
When he realized what was going on, it was when he went to Africa and he came back. It was the same thing with Malcolm X. They both went to Africa and they came back with different thought processes. And Martin Luther King noticed that this isn't a black struggle per se. This is a poor struggle. This is the thing where when it came in with Leonard saying that they've pitted us. Follow the money. The Jews are getting rich as fuck off of all of this bullshit. Arms dealers, lawyers, whoever you want to call, they're getting rich as fuck off of all of this. And they pitted white and black people against one another. And white people have bought into this thought process to the point where your whole system's built on it. There's nothing that can be done now other than us taking our rights. Because you're not going to give it to us at your expense.
They started the slave trade. They were predominantly slave owners. Do you understand?
But if you want to steal
Bro.
somebody's country from them, you have to. If your elaborate plan is to steal somebody's country for them and have your, I don't even get why. Because they were considering Uganda first. To tell you how fucked up these people is, let me tell you, they were considering Uganda to be Israel. So they were going to take that whole country of Uganda and call it Israel with no kind of, no context behind of it. So let me tell you, these people just wanted a piece of land to call their own. It was not even a matter of it actually being the true Israel or not. They just wanted a land to call their own.
Can I apologize and say sorry for taking everybody off the deep end into the deep end?
No, it needs to happen. It needs to happen.
I just wanted to show the mind fuck that is actually happening.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show people the depth of the mind fuck that's actually happening. That's why you need to just literally pull yourself out of the system as much as possible.
Yep.
Totally. And understand that you are being preyed upon. And you are in a war that you don't even know. So your brother who you're walking down the street and you're looking at is, who's this person over here? That is not your enemy. Matter of fact, that's your best friend.
Yes.
That's your brother. That's the person that you need to be clinging to.
Be thy brother's
That's the person
keeper.
that you need to be supporting. You know that girl that you're looking at and she's a thought and this and that. That's the person that you're supposed to be showing love and protecting and appreciating your mother, appreciating your sisters, appreciating your teachers, appreciating your community leaders who are trying to teach you something and trying to help you. Stop trying to think that, anybody else who's going to give me money, I'm going to love them. Because you know what? For somebody who prints money and is worth trillions and trillions of dollars, money means nothing. So they can give you $1 million. They can give you $2 million. They can pay you as an NBA star
when
$20 million a year.
When somebody pays you, they control you. Just remember that. Any money that somebody gives you. So when somebody is giving you a program, they're not giving you a program to get out of anything. The government is not going to give you a program to get out of anything.
And number two, if you are worth, if you're spending $1 trillion every year, the black dollar is it's $1 trillion business. So if I'm giving you money just for you to give it back to me, that just simply means that I am just doubling up because I am adding value to the money. I'm giving it to you and you're then giving it back to me with value. Because if I'm giving you $20 million, and then you're buying my overinflated goods, I'm making money off of giving you money. That's what business is about.
Let's not forget your food sources, your water sources, everything along the lines of that is meant to dull your senses. Fluoride is meant to cause calcification of your pineal gland, basically. It's meant to dull you as a person. So don't ever think, do not trust you cannot trust the government. It really is hard to think about it, but think about where your food, health and safety standards don't apply. Stop thinking, grow it yourself. Please, if you can, grow it yourself. I'm dead serious. There's some gross shit going on out here. We are not at our full potential as human beings. We definitely are not at our full potential as human beings. And if you think about it this way, if your lamb is grown in New Zealand and you eating it on your plate in England, that means somebody had to freeze that bullshit for it to get over here. They didn't freeze it in a freezer and a froze. They liquid nitrogen froze it or whatever the case. The shit, the preservatives, the antibiotics. Think of all the shit that had to go in there in order for you to just get it here on your plate.
Grow local,
buy local,
and
grow yourself.
Be like the Chinese. They don't eat anybody else's food.
Yep.
And nobody slates them for it. So why should you feel offended? You know what I mean? But eat your own food because it's the food that you are used to. It is proven, they did scientific tests that they took British people and they gave them African food. They took Africans and they gave them British food. The Africans started getting ill. They started putting on weight. The things
that we genetically predisposed to, the things that we are genetically predisposed to in the UK. So when I'm talking about, people will say that African Americans and black people in general, black people in the Caribbean, they have high rates of heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, all that bullshit. When you look at the same population in Africa, because we all came from the same coast in Africa, don't let nobody fool you. There might be 1 or 2 variations, but we all came from the same coast. They wasn't that enthusiastic about it. all the people in West Africa are not slave coast or whatever. They don't have the same predisposition. As a matter of fact, they don't have high levels of diabetes and blood sugar problems and all of that. Even with the coke and the Fanta and all the bullshit that they're trying to peddle in Africa with the MSG and all that. Even with all of that, they still don't have the same high levels. And it's because they don't have the same experience as us, where they give us inferior quality products, everything along those. Listen.
Question: when you were in the Caribbean, how often did you get sick?
To be fair, I was a quite sickly child, but it wasn't more. It wasn't. Oh yeah, I was a sickly child.
You was a sickly child.
I was a sickly. But in general, I will say what you did have was a better quality of life, where I would get sick here and it would feel like I was dying. Whereas if I get sick back home, I feel good within a couple hours. I can go in the sea and have all that mucus drained out my head, and when I get back up, I have a clear head. So I could go home and I know I won't have the fever that night.
Okay, let me ask a better question. We have not so great healthcare system in the Caribbean, right? Is our health system under strenuous? Is it underweight? Are we struggling?
No, we
hardly used to get sick. We hardly get sick. It's only recently that they've started now flooding the Caribbean from China with B grade, D grade products that now we are getting high rates of cancer and all these things. Because China is literally
killing us. Yeah, and when you look at it, the Chinese in the Caribbean, they don't even eat the same food that they serve to the locals. Like, our food is full of MSG and all sorts of things that they use embalming fluid as a preservative. Oh yeah, they get more. The Chinese in Anguilla bring in more embalming fluid than actual funeral homes, and they use it for preserving food.
Wow.
So if you think about that, like, it's fucking mind blowing.
It's mind blowing. It's psychotic. And that's
arsenic to wash your meat. It's been known for years that America sends the worst cuts of food, the worst cuts of meat, everything to the Caribbean. Like, there's a whole lot of things going on in this world that is not conducive to our survival. Not our survival as people in general, and not our survival as black people in general. There's a concerted effort to clean us off of this earth. In everywhere that we are, there's a concerted effort to get rid of us. That's just what it is. Like, it is what it is, point blank. And I don't know. I feel like it's deeper than just. It has to be deeper than just what we're looking at as. But I don't know where it comes from. Like, I begin to start like a conspiracy. Sound like a conspiracy theorist if I try to.
No,
speculate.
I hear what you're saying fully, but I feel like it's a conversation worth having, because once you can see, once it's laid out for you, like, mathematically, and you can't argue with it, it's just like, whoa.
Yeah, what the fuck is this?
Here's what it is. So this is how I feel on a simplest form level. You geographically own most of the resources, which means that if we ever let you be free and you can actually capitalize on the resources that you actually own, it means that there will start to be a seismic shift of power naturally. Just naturally. Even if we poorly refine the oil, even if we poorly refine the diamonds, if we actually are allowed to even sell the diamonds at a price of our choosing. Do you understand that?
That would be a.
But I feel like that's what needs to happen.
Even if an African walks in Africa and picks a fucking diamond up, they can't sell it because there's regulations on where you can get diamonds.
And that's what I'm saying. It's hearing that and being like, cool. So now I need to study these regulations. I need to find some next loophole, or I need to get some new fucking legislations in there.
Nationalize all industries in African countries. Nationalize the fuck up out of them. Kick every one of them European companies out. That's the only way. Coltan and everything that we own, I feel absolutely horrible. They got children as young as 4 in the Congo walking to mine coltan. And it's like blood diamonds, basically. But
number 2, most of the rare earth minerals that for technology like lasers, mobile phones, any high tech, it is in Africa. So therefore, it means that if we were to be able to even sell this raw material, the tariff that would be imposed on them, because they're no longer getting it for dirt.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
economics.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's resources.
It's I want to get to a point where I can hear the word Caribbean and think, okay, cool. Geographically speaking, what I'm in between South America, North America, I can get to Europe, Africa, Asia. Like, why is that not like a port?
We don't need them. That's the problem. If we don't need them, if there was a triangle between the Caribbean, South America, and Latin America, Africa,
Yeah.
and come back that way,
Yeah.
we will never ever need them in the Western Hemisphere. We wouldn't need them. Okay, we have to go. 'Cause
Yeah.
we all have places to be, and it's kind of late.
But
But yeah, this was awesome. This discussion, we definitely are gonna continue. We're gonna have Rueben back soon, and we'll continue this. Yeah, I hope everybody has a good weekend. You'll be hearing this on Friday, so turn up, enjoy your weekend, and all that good stuff. A lot of interesting shit happens on the weekend.
That's for
by the
sure.
way.
Yeah.
This weekend was kind of lit. Maybe next episode we'll talk about what happened this weekend. Well, last weekend, this weekend, whatever. Anyways,
I think
thank you so much, Ruben, for coming today.
oh, it's been a pleasure for sure.
it's been a real pleasure having you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, this is Angry Black People. Oh, business of the week.
Business of the week.
Black business of the week. I tell you, we did not stick to the format.
Well, this week it was so explosive that we couldn't stick to the format.
Okay. Black business of the week. Just before we leave quickly, my black business of the week I think will be King's. Is it King's Barbers in Birmingham?
Yeah, 100%.
One by a
I walked past there, I was like, yes! Yes! Look at where you are! Just, yes!
And they now have two as well. They
they've
have
got
one
two,
on
yeah.
Fantastic.
They've got one near the Radisson Blue in town, and there's another one near the B&M Bargains
B&M,
in
yes.
town as well. It's owned by a Jamaican man. Big up yourself.
Big up yourself, Kingy.
Yeah, big up
definitely.
yourself, Kingy.
I remember where he started because I was his customer when he used to by the train station.
Mm-hmm.
He was used to be underneath a shop that sold records. So he
Oh.
was in a little basement shop that sold records. And me and my cousin used to go down there. That's where he started from, in a little basement thing.
And
I remember,
he's
and
built
now he's
his-
built it up to two.
You see,
Yeah.
that's the type of thing I'm talking about. And he supports and employs his own people and all of that good stuff. So, once again, the conversation today was interesting. Definitely gonna do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So peace out, people. And have a good
follow us
weekend.
on everything. Can you let me do my promo? There's certain things that you have to put in here. Okay, so follow us on everything. It's ABP Podcast or
ABP podcast. Yeah.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. It's Angry Black People on Instagram. It's Angry Black People on Twitter. On Facebook. And yeah, we're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, everything, anywhere that podcast can be found. So yeah, cool. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.